behalf of IMC, I welcome you all to the day 3 of India Mobile Congress. Today we are going to start with our first session on India Stack, a path for global innovation. I would like to introduce you with our partner, who is also going to be the moderator for this session, Mohit Bhasin. I would request him to please come over the stage and take over the proceedings. Over to you.
Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, especially on this beautiful Sunday morning. We are definitely going to, make sure that you'll be enriched with a lot of insights, because the topic what we're going to talk about is India Stack, the most popular subject currently. If you search in Google, you will see India Stack as one of the most top searchable phrase, especially the way India has shaped. I take the opportunity to invite my beautiful panel. It's a very well composed, thought through panel onto the stage. Can I request Mr. Sunmesh Joshi, ex-DDG UID from Department of Telecom, to please join us? Mr. Joshi is an officer of 1993 batch of Indian Telecom Service, and present he is working with UIDI, which is also known as Aadhaar. You must have heard about that. He is an electronics and communication engineer and MBA from the prestigious MDI Gurgaon Institute. Welcome, sir. I take the opportunity to invite Mr. Abhishek Bispal. Mr. Bispal is the business head of Airtel IQ, from the strategy division of Bharti Airtel. Mr. Bispal is the communication CPaaS. He leads the CPaaS offering of Airtel IQ. He has several years of experience in telecommunication and been instrumental in the entire space of B2C acquisition, digital channels, advertisements, pay and financial services. Welcome, Mr. Bispal. I take the opportunity to invite Manish Gange, the Executive Vice President, Product Strategy of HFCL. Mr. Gange leads the product line management function of the company, and he possesses extensive experience in the telecom, networking, and semiconductor industries, and have led multifunctional team in the space of R&D, engineering, supply chain, and so on and so forth. Welcome, Mr. Gange. I take the opportunity of inviting Madam Shikha Srivastava. Madam Srivastava is the Board of Director for CDOT. She is a BTech in Electronics Engineering from the prestigious IIT BHU Varanasi and Masters in Research degree from IIT Delhi. She is a gold medalist and currently working as a director, board member of prestigious CDOT, and looking after telecom security solutions, fraud management, post-quantum cryptography, IoT, and so on and so forth. Welcome, madam. Now I take the opportunity to invite my panelist, Mr. Sandeep Kapoor. Mr. Sandeep Kapoor is the head of Asia Pacific business for Lepton Software. He is specialist in telecommunication technology, digital media, technological engineering, and many more. Welcome, Mr. Kapoor. So let me take the opportunity of sitting next to my panel on this interesting topic of India Stack. We all have heard about digital public infrastructure, which is a combination of so many digital interfaces, basically the soft aspect and the hard infrastructure aspect, which India has been created over the last couple of years. And most importantly, the way now 5G is going to fuel up this power of digital public infrastructure in the coming days is what we're going to touch upon. With my eminent panelist, I will try best to touch upon different spectrums of the subject, different topics, so that we touch the various aspects of the subject. So with this, I would like to invite Mr. Joshi. Mr. Joshi, given the way the digital public infrastructure has taken its shape today, could you please help our audience understand what DPI is, how this has evolved over the last couple of years, and how do you see this unfolding in the coming days?
So thank you, Mohit. And I can say proudly that India has shown the way to the rest of the world on digital public good infrastructure. See, the term India Stack, it has come up, is nothing but just integration using the open source technology and the open API and ease of doing business and ease of connecting, different networks so we can provide the services in a targeted manner, in an efficient manner. So, as our Honorable Prime Minister has said last year in the Gandhinagar, in the Digital India event, that next 10 years are termed as a decade. So, in this decade, everything is to be driven through the technology. This is a era of the AI, ML, IoT, 5G. So all these things, so how we can reap the benefit of this technology for delivery of the services, and how we can generate, the entire ecosystem to help it out. And the topic is that a path for global innovation. And the innovation, again we say, when we see in the ecosystem, okay, there is a requirement, then people start thinking that how best we can get it done. And in Indian term, we call it a jugaad. So there's some jugaad that, okay, I can get it done in a very good manner. And using the, existing resources and what new resources I can find. And from government perspective, the objective is, we say it's the antodaya, that is ant ka udaya, that is we have to serve the person who is at the last in the queue, or maybe residing in the remotest corner of the country. So that kind of, infrastructure now available in India. It started with the digital identity project called Aadhaar, right? That then from that Aadhaar, it has started all discussing about the DPI. So the first DPI that is created by India, and it is a foundational ID. So Aadhaar per se is not giving any eligibility to you. Because, for example, driving license says, okay, you have a driving license, you can drive the car. If you have the passport, you can travel, right? You have a government ID card, okay, so you're a government servant. But for Aadhaar, nothing like that. It is not an eligibility document. It's a foundational ID. It simply says this is the number linked with your biometric. And wherever you want to prove that you are Somnesh Joshi, your name is this, then you can prove yourself using that foundational ID. So layer by layer, this is the first layer I can say of the India stack or the open API network. And then, further things, the UPI, everyone knows that is doing wonder, maybe 10 billion transactions in a month. But had it been, before 2014, maybe it would not met the success, because it requires the banking system, the bank account. And earlier, the vegetable hawkers and the street vendors were not having the bank account. But because of this, the Aadhaar system, they got the bank account. And now, everyone is into the UPI system, and we are doing wonder. So using this jam trinity, the Jandan, Aadhaar, and mobile. Jandan is the bank account, Aadhaar is the digital identity, and mobile, of course, now it is very much required. Because in any digital ecosystem, you can prepare the best technology, but if you want to serve the nook and corner of the country, we require the connectivity. That is a very, very critical piece. And here, again, the government of India is committed in this part also when we integrate that entire country, every village should have the 4G connectivity. It's not only the connectivity, we require the high-speed connectivity. So remaining villages also under 4G saturation project. By March, there is a target to give the 4G services. And of course, 5G, I can further say that proudly that in a year, it's the fastest rollout, as Honorable Prime Minister in inaugural address also said. So is this the entire, the India stack or the foundational ID Aadhaar, then your financial inclusion, the banking account and the UPI, and then the consent and privacy. The third layer we say it's the consent and the privacy. So public data protection is already there. So based on the rules framework, one can, design the system. So using all these three things, we have to innovate. And, there's no limit on the innovations. I just tell one example, long back when mobile introduced. There's a story of the fishermen in the Kerala. They started using the SMS, right, to find what is the market price of the fish, right, in different markets. And they start selling like this. So see, again, that time only the SMS, but they have used it. So similarly, now with this connectivity and the smartphone, and how these innovation will work. what is the support from the government, from this open API or India Stack or the entire ecosystem? See, connectivity, now it's very cheap here, the data is very cheap. Last mile, how you're going to access the smart devices you require. Now with the manufacturing in India, the cost is around $70, so one can afford the mobile phone or smart device also. So everything is in place, and with security and privacy, one can do wonder. And just last example, I will just share. In the COVID time, because of this, infrastructure available with us, the 23 US billion dollar, right, direct benefit transfer India has done. And we have a robust system in place, right, using all this system that we have the beneficial list. So immediately the transfer happened. Nowhere in the world we have seen. So there's lots of, huge cases that one can discuss and find out. And innovation, the Reserve Bank of India Innovation Hub, under the RBI, they recently, created an innovation using all this DPI or India Stack. See, to give a loan to a farmer or a dairy farmer, it usually takes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or maybe more than a month. So they have created a public tech frictionless credit platform. So what they have done, they have integrated the Aadhaar layer, the banking system layer through the account aggregator, and they have the dairy data, that how much milk the farmer is selling, the CIBIL data. So the instant loan is available using all this data. And agreement can be signed using the e-sign. And that's the best part. And further, sometimes in the country like India, where multiple languages are there, because all the software are in English, the agreement is in English. And someone can say, no, I want in Marathi because I want to read it. And I don't have a trust. So the Bhashini, again, there is a DPI. That is again the layer in the ecosystem. So one can use that Bhashini and convert the agreement in whichever the language the beneficiary or the farmer wants. So this is how, we are going ahead, creating lots of innovations. So I will not take much of the time. Maybe first we will hear all other speakers also. So idea is that, we think, and from the consumer perspective and from all the constituents of the ecosystem, whatever we make or innovate, everything should support that. Otherwise it's going to be fail. Right? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joshi, for very, beautifully painting this landscape of the entire DPI, and, helping us see that how the Honorable Prime Minister vision of India's tech decade, especially when we are ready, when we have the infrastructure in place, when we have digital layers in place, and the best part is 5G complementing this vision to be actually being implemented. And I can't tell you more, the audience, and especially the foreign audience, this has been the game changer, especially in the COVID times. As a civilian, especially the vaccine delivery has been fantastic. I still carry my digital card, which many countries does not even think of. They still use paper. This is just the beginning, and the next 10 years are going to be overwhelming. What I can also say, a small summation to the group, is that this will really help us fill up the economic growth of the country by at least 5 to 10 times, because we are talking about digital-led economic growth. Thank you so much. I'll take the liberty of bringing Madam Shika now. Madam, given CDOT's interventions, we are talking about so many aspects of data, public data, talking about user data. Could you just take us through some elements of security, cyber security, and if you want to just take us through some of your initiatives at CDOT, which will help our audience get some confidence that we are talking about a secure infrastructure.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for sparing your time on a Sunday morning. And I believe that all of you are deeply interested in technology. That's why you're here. So CDOT is, as you know, the R&D hub of Department of Telecommunication. And here we are talking about a number of software products which CDOT has developed, which probably can be made part of the India stack per se. As you know, as Joshi sir has already informed you, that India stack comprises of multiple layers, which includes Aadhaar, UPI, open networks, and data privacy frameworks. So we would like to add what CDOT can contribute to this India stack. We have a lot of software solutions. So if you can just give me that presentation thing. Now, there are many areas in which this India stack can be enhanced. And so basically in the mobile and switching technology, in the digital platform for blocks and villages, in IoT M2M, and network management, security solutions. So one example of this global innovation could be the C-Dot Common Service Platform. See, this platform is, C-Dot has been contributing primarily. So see, this is one way where we can bring our stacks to a global innovation path. How? By contributing to standards. So this is one example where CDOT has played the lead role in 1M2M standards, and it has around 430 contributions, and it is one of the leading partners in this standardization platform for IoT and M2M. So based on this, now we have come up with the national standards, and we have got one M2M based platform, which we are now offering to all the multiple startups. We have opened a center of innovation in CDOT, where we are actually onboarding multiple startups and hand-holding them to implement this one M2M standard in their IoT M2M solution. Why? Because tomorrow there will be billions of IoT devices in the network, and it will be difficult to manage all of them, to replace all of them, to maintain them. So for securing them, so that's why a standard-based solution is important. So CDOT had this vision, and we came up with this platform, and now we have some 75 plus startups who have actually integrated with us. And we are also now working with railways, wherein we are trying to, we have started the standard-based IoT implementation with railways. And in the next 6 months, it will be deployed. So this is where C.'s CCSP platform is basically, this is our platform which we can offer to the India stack, and we can offer a toolkit to all the startups to integrate with this, so that their solutions can come onto a common platform, and they can be secure, manageable, interoperable, etc. So this is, and this also leads CDOT and India on the global innovation stage, because here we are leading the development of this platform. So that is one way in which India can play the lead role. This is one example I have given. And in the same way, we can take the lead in other areas also. Then we have also got these security solutions, where we are doing post-quantum security. We are doing enterprise-level cyber attack monitoring and analytics, threat alerts to organizations on their public IPs. Then we have a central equipment identity register, which is helping police trace the stolen mobiles, and people can actually use this to generate their complaints. Then we have this Astra and TAFCOP, which have been recently launched on the Sanchar Sathi portal of DOT. And in this, we are doing fraud detection, basically. And so how this can contribute to the India stack? So here we are planning to give, CDOT has deployed a countrywide solution to find out the cyber threats and attacks which are originating as well as terminating in India. So here we are planning to give an API to particular organizations. Like if you have a set of APIs, public APIs, you can take this solution from CDOT, we can give you APIs wherein these alerts will come in real time to your app, and you can do the mitigation before anything serious happens. So this will be a very important cybersecurity India stack, I believe. It will help everyone. Then we also have some stacks for internal organization cybersecurity. Then we are also planning to come up with some quantum safe cryptography APIs which people can use. Now, even for the IoT M2M, this DOT has started this project called the National Trust Center, which is also backed by the NSCS, National Security Council. And so this center actually will help people to identify whether their IoT M2M devices are actually secure, what is the security level of those devices, are they currently updated, are their security levels, have they put all the updates or versions? And so it will help them identify whether they should go for these devices or not. And it will be easy to identify if any device is attacked, it will be easy to identify who the device belongs to. So these kind of APIs would be important from the security point of view. And lastly, as I mentioned, this Astra and TAFCOP, here we can give APIs for fraud detection. Suppose you are onboarding, you're a bank, you're onboarding a customer. You can ask us whether this customer is in your fraud database or not. We have a database of fraud people who have taken fraudulently SIMs and they are carrying out cybercrime activities. So we can give whether, okay, this guy is a genuine guy, whether he has, or he's in the fraud database. So we can just give an indication that you need to be careful with this person. He's clean, he's not clean, or he's clean. So that kind of thing we can do. Apart from that, we can also give the general public, we can give some APIs to find out that if they are buying a second-hand mobile, say, whether it is a cloned mobile or its IMEI is unique. Because ultimately, India will be weeding out all these cloned mobiles. So if you buy a cloned mobile, then at the end of the day, you are a loser. At some point of time, you may have to give up that mobile handset. So these kind of APIs can come up from this security solutions. And these are very, very specific to India, but we can also take them to the global level. So these are some of our solutions. We have an enterprise security operation center solutions, including DLP, EDR, and all these things. You can visit our stall for more details. This is TAFCOP and Astra solution. So in Astra, we have used AI-powered facial recognition to churn 114 crore mobile connections and detect 60 lakh. Then these solutions also you can see here we have given option to the general public to go to this website sancharsati.com, .gov.in, and in that you can go and check your mobile number and see how many connections are there under your name, because someone might have fraudulently taken using your ID. So that you can go and check. And with this AI powered thing, we have actually we have disconnected, DOT has disconnected with the help of TSPs a number of fraudulent connections, which were using these fraudulent connections for carrying out cyber crimes. And even point of sales have been blacklisted and many FIRs have been registered. Then post-quantum cryptography, again, some algorithms, some APIs can be given. Now we come to the main CDOT business domain, that is the mobile domain, where we are giving the 4G LT core and 5G core and RAN and the cell broadcast center. And here what we can do is we can give APIs for users where they can negotiate, especially in 5G, they can negotiate the bandwidth they want, the quality of service they want. They can give a feedback that I'm not getting the current bandwidth that I require, the current latency requirements are not being met, or whatever, my quality of service is not being met, and then we can upgrade them or something like that. So those kind of APIs would be important in this particular thing. So this is the C.4G core solution, which is already deployed. 5G core is also ready and will be deployed soon. And we also have a cell broadcast solution. Is the second in the world to make this cell broadcast solution. Then in switching, we have a number of like IP multimedia system, soft switch. Then we have a secure unified communication, which is a chat and call platform, as well as secure video conferencing. Then a number of software applications are there, like application to convey alert disaster messages to a targeted area in local languages. So this can be given as an API to organizations, responsible organizations or municipal organizations or administration, district administration, if they want to basically convey any alert or disaster message to the general public in case of it was widely used in COVID times to tell people, okay, food is available here, medicine is available here. So that kind of messages were being sent to people in multiple location areas. Then we have a probe-based software, and we are working in artificial intelligence, video analytics, face recognition, object intrusion detection, and tracking. And recently, we have also developed an augmented reality-based wayfinder solution for indoor navigation. This is deployed in the UN in Geneva. And so these are some other software applications which we can also think of giving as a stack, network management system, or then these are some digital, this is the digital platform which we can give to the blocks and villages, where e-health services, financial services, etc. This is the alerting application. Then we have face recognition. This also we have prepared as an API. Anyone can use this face recognition model as an API and use it. Surveillance, person search and tracking, video analytics. So the USP, if you can see in the last picture image, it's a very, very high resolution camera, and still you will be able to find out the, let's see in this one. If you can see these small pointers there. See, this is the detection point. Sorry. These 1, 2 and 3, you can see it's very, very small, but still it has been detected. This is live. And even here, very far off the camera is there, but still you can see these people are, this is for PPE kit, whether they are wearing hats or not during construction. So this high, even though the images are very small, this is intrusion. Basically here, that image is showing intrusion as well as, and this is showing for construction sites whether people are wearing the PPE kits or not. So that level of this thing we have done. Okay. And so that's all from me.
Thank you so much. This is really impressive, and I think we really need to use it or exploit it rather as the India stack in different spectrums, especially the applications what we are talking about. So moving further, we touched upon the overall India stack, the big picture by Mr. Joshi. Madam Srivastava helped us to understand the cybersecurity aspect part of the stack. Now let me pivot it to more specific. Allow me to invite Mr. Biswal. Mr. Biswal, help us think through that how the trillions and zillions of IoT touch points, which we are going to now talk about and see in our day-to-day life, how this will unfold. Can it be secure? How can we talk about the inclusion side of it?
No, thank you, and amazing listening to my co-panelists, I think. So, see, cellular IoT, I think it's a very critical element in the government's digitalization mission, right? Especially around public infra. And on public infra, let's just look at one of these, which is the National Smart Grid mission, which the government has kicked off, right? And here we are talking about 250 million plus homes that or meters that need to be digitized. And overall, if you look at this project, right, it doesn't just talk about digitization. It talks about the outcome, which will bring better financial prudence, better technical prudence, overall, and essentially which will lead to, I think, better savings in this whole technology aspect, right? In addition to this, if you just look at the analytics benefits of power distribution, of the ability of the government to go digitize and power up areas of the country where citizens live, that itself will be the biggest inclusion. Because the minute you have access to power, the minute you have access to connectivity, is when you're really taking the steps towards commerce, towards education, towards any social upbringing, right? So we think this is the bedrock of the way that the goal that India has towards progressing in the future, right? I think if I look at the actual execution of this project, right? It's one thing to talk about digitizing 250 million meters, but when you go to how do you do this, it starts very early in surveying or in figuring out where do we go digitize, how do we roll out these operations, how do we connect these meters, how do we bring back the data that the meters produce to efficiently bill the consumer, right? There is a stack that is required again here. And this is what I think is, if you go deeper in any one of these pieces, that's how it sort of unfolds, right? So today we are partnering, or the government has uh, looked at discoms awarding contracts to SI companies, to large organizations that will come together to manage this EPC contract. So Airtel is working with all of them to provide connectivity, which is our narrowband IoT. It helps in better penetration inside buildings, in areas like your basements where typically the energy meters are. But beyond this, I think where we find this very interesting is the entire stack, because now you're looking at connectivity. You're looking at taking this data from the meter onto a cloud. You're looking at security of these endpoints so that there is no challenge that happens on these meters as well as the data that goes. We're talking about applications that will sit on the cloud, which will essentially produce the bill and do monitoring of these, right? This is the digital stack that we're talking about. Equally important is your physical stack, because these meters have to be installed. They will have challenges. There has to be a repair or fault solving at those. Even that workforce digitization is something that is important, right? So when we are looking at partnering, we're looking at the entire stack. What do we digitize, both in terms of machines, humans, and analytics around this, right? Because that is and I think that's our read and our interpretation of the government's goal in doing all of this. So that's, I think, just one example is where I took you a little deeper into how a lot of this infrastructure will change in the next couple of years.
This is very technical and impressive. Let me just give you a little humor here. Is that I live in Gurgaon. There used to be big struggle for us to get the power electricity bill at home. Sometime it get missed from my mailbox. I used to find how do I get my electricity bill. Then I have to go down to the electricity substation to make the payment by signing a check, which used to get credited to my bank account and debited from my bank account after 2-3 days. Then I used to feel safe. Now my electricity connection is safe. Someone will not disconnect it. Same was the cooking gas today. And I'm talking about 2-3 years back. Today, I can click of the button, check through an app that I have made a cup of tea and I have consumed 5 rupees of my cooking gas in my app. I'm running short of my advance budget and I can pay it in less than 45 seconds. This is Gurgaon. This is the transformation, which is what is happening. Imagine the kind of time I have saved in my life, which I just explained. And imagine if this kind of time saving, we are doing it to all of our civil society, how much productivity we are adding back to our ecosystem, which means another level of economic twist. I mean, this is revolutionizing today, and imagine how this will unfold. But IoT is definitely a game changer. I can vouch for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me bring Mr. Ganguly into the discussion, and so please help us think through that the digital inclusion side of it, how this will help every common user and even the fintech side of the digital inclusion part of it.
I think when you talk about the financial inclusion, let me first at least touch upon the device in the hands of the people, right? For financial inclusion to work, today we have 1.2 billion mobile connections. Our population is 1.4 billion, and we still have close to 250 million users who are using the non-smartphones, right? The challenge that first government has to handle is how do we move these 250 million users from using voice-only phones to data-enabled devices, right? And mind you, right, this is 250 million users are the part of the marginal society, as we call it, right? Because for a variety of reasons that either they're not able to afford, or there is a small population where there is a resistance to change, right? But fundamentally, the people who are still marginalized, holding that, right? So the challenge that we really need to look at solving is how do we get these users moved to that to the mobile smartphone ecosystem, because we heard about the jam trinity, right? The key part of that is mobility, availability of a mobile phone in the hands of people, right? I mean, I come from the wireline days of the networks where we used to think that if really country has to progress, everybody has to be connected over wires, right? Everybody's home has to have a telephone line. Everybody's home has to have a broadband line. Today, nobody is talking about broadband being wired or anything like that. Everybody assumes the moment you have a phone, it is broadband, right? I mean, we have come from a time where we used to call what is broadband speed, 64 kbps to 256 kbps was the speed we used to say, if you have this much, you are broadband. Today, with 5G, we are saying 100 Mbps is also not good enough, right? I mean, that's the transformation. There's a huge transformation that has happened, which we have not even noticed it. It has been happening while we are going about in our lives, quietly. So I think the important thing about the inclusion, and as I said, right, on the financial side, I don't even have to talk, right? We're talking about UPI going, global, right? The example every one of us has been seeing, right? You go to buy a vegetable, do you even carry cash? I mean, I don't carry cash anymore. My wallet is free of cash. My wallet has thinned down from being this thick to a single card. That is only contingency, right? This is something that hasn't happened anywhere else. And this is not too long back, right? Just pre-COVID, all of us were used to say, without cash, India mein nothing happens, all right? You have to pay cash to some of the people. Everybody, even it's a funny side of it. Even the guy who's actually seeking your help is carrying a QR code, right? That's the transformation that has been happening. The only thing that we really need to do is that how do we make it productive, right? This is there, this jam trinity exists. We have all the public infrastructure that Mr. Joshi talked about is there. How do we create innovation specific to those marginalized society? I mean, one of the key thing that is very close to my heart, beyond the financial inclusion, and because financial inclusion we talked about, right? There are examples where people are getting micro loans, right? On the just because of their identity is verified, and they can be given small loans. People take the loans in the day and return it in the evening or next day, right? That's the sort of financial inclusion that we're talking about. But there is one very key aspect that I want to touch upon and leave you guys with some thoughts is, how do we get the healthcare system enabled using this infrastructure? We still need that infrastructure, that what is available in urban areas so easily, so efficiently, to be made available to our rural masses, right? And this is where the 5G comes into the play. And somebody keeps asking me, right? In my previous life, not too long ago, I used to be driving the 5G rollout. So why is the 5G needed? The biggest use case, and this use case is staring us in the face, yet we want to close our eyes as there are no 5G use cases. Of course, there is a 5G use case in front of us, and that is the healthcare. To make the healthcare accessible, available to the remotest part of the country, you do need a 5G-like connectivity. You cannot do with just the data or the throughputs. You need latency. You need to make sure the doctors are able to feel the pulse of the customer, pulse of the patient right at the end point, sitting at the urban center, right? This is something that we need to do. And wherever I get a chance talking to entrepreneurs, right, that's one thing that I always bring up to saying, this is one thing. And it has got multiple aspects on innovation, right? You have to innovate on devices, you have to innovate on connectivity, you have to innovate on application, you have to innovate on the analytics that you're building, right? There's several layers of innovation that will have to be enabled to bring that inclusion on the healthcare side.
Well, thank you so much. I think very, very well painted picture on the innovation of the entire ecosystem. Let me now come to Mr. Kapoor. Mr. Kapoor, we've talked about now the big picture, cybersecurity, IoT, innovation, and especially if I may just pivot to what Mr. Joshi said, a beautiful word called Antodaya, which is the last mile. Can you just paint some light on what is the rural inclusion part of it? Because if we transform that side of it, then we are really talking about the actual economic growth.
Sure. Thank you, Mohit. This is an interesting discussion, I must say. We kind of saw, and people related here, my dear co-panelists, about the business use cases, the last mile connectivity. I think we all realize, especially India being such a diversified country, the Bharat actually stays in more than 60% of India. And I completely vouch with Sir here, Manish, talking about financial inclusion, e-healthcare. I think Madam Shikha spoke about that. Rural connectivity becomes extremely important. That's the last mile connectivity. And somewhere I think Manish definitely mentioned about years back, probably 2 decades back, we were all talking about wireline connectivity to each and every home. No longer we talk about that. We talk in terms of last mile connectivity over wireless. Yes, there is an ecosystem which has got developed. There are obviously more work to be done in terms of creating a better infrastructure, which I'm sure as a country, as a technology organization, as a technology country, we are innovating. The last mile connectivity into rural areas again brings in very, very important aspect. And I think I'll pick that up from the panel here in terms of financial inclusion. Look at probably a tea seller. Couple of years back, he was probably dealing in cash. Today, that person using probably the digital money, that whole money is getting into his or her bank. And the banks actually now realize that this gentleman probably selling, say, 100 cup of teas a day at 10 or 20 rupees is probably collating around $1,000 a day, 30 days of sales, say 30,000. And over a year, this gentleman has actually become credit worthy of some 6-7 lakh rupees. And here are these bankers who are actually talking about now extending loans to them. And I think one of the dear panelists here spoke about giving a loan in the morning and probably repaying that loan in the evening. Now that's where the power of connectivity really comes through. And again, going back to that discussion where we're all talking about various technologies, but finally reaching to the last mile. And I vouch for that statement which Mr. Joshi made, that we need to go back to the last mile, because that's where the business is. That's where the requirement is. That's where probably the government initiatives are being driven to connect those people who are kind of marginalized completely from the society. So as Mohit, you rightly mentioned, connectivity to the last mile, to these places in the rural areas, and to those 60% plus Bharat immediately sounds a big opportunity for all the organizations.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Kapoor. So I think I'm cognizant of the time. With this, I will just go with the last round of question to all of my panelists, which is about what is that one last message you would like to give it to our audience and maybe to the government, or any recommendation you have in your mind, just one message. Maybe I'll start with Mr. Kapoor yourself.
Sure. Thank you very much. I think one message to the organization and government is probably building up infrastructure, focusing more on the infrastructure. While we've been very focused in terms of urban areas, somewhere there is a lot of opportunity to grow our infrastructure into the rural areas. I know there are a lot of activities being done in the tier 2, tier 3 cities with the smart cities projects now coming up, but somewhere I think we need to start focusing back into the tier 4, tier 5 cities too.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Mr. Gange, please.
Yeah, I think, we've been known as software powerhouse, right, for a very long period of time. And not to take away credit from anybody, right? It took a long time for getting us there, where, our population is being recognized for contributing to the, the world's, highest, most technical problems, that have been solved, right? The thing that we need to now take up and take it to the world is what we have been building. I mean, this is very different from, what has happened in the past, right? The software revolution happened, it all got driven mostly from the private sector, right? Where everybody was, trying to figure out how do you, take care of this arbitrage that existed, right? This is the first time we are going to drive innovation into the world, which has got done in India. And that's the DPI. That's something that I really feel we need to take it to the world and create that barrier, which, the Western world so fondly calls, right? That, if you create that barrier, a lot of people will depend on you in making sure that how their countries are run, how their, citizens are served. So I think that's my wish. I hope government takes steps to take us there.
Indeed, this can only happen in India when governments are disrupting the business. Mr. Biswal.
So I think with more of us being connected, more of us using the digital public infrastructure, I think one request that I would have with the government is build trust in the infrastructure, right? I think one of the things that you guys must have heard about is phishing attacks, right? Where the advent of digital money transfer has led to a lot of fraud in the country, right? Whether it's social engineering or spoofing, right? So I think as you grow this infrastructure, make it safer for people to use, so there is trust around it, and if there is something that is trustworthy, the adoption goes through the roof. So I think that's something that we are happy to work, with or partner with the government. But we do think that's a layer that the government will have to institutionalize in making the citizens feel safer and adopt the digital tools and the products that keep coming up.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. Mr. Joshi.
So, from the government perspective, see, one thing that, because in this era of the IoT, IML technology and the India stack that and already Shika has dwelled upon in a detail. So, what we are going to do that to facilitate the entire ecosystem, then I think the inaugural address of the Honorable Prime Minister heard that 100 5G labs are there. So now we have to, make use of those labs, all the startups, 5G labs, and the ecosystem, industries, and the government. They have to collaborate, right? And find out what innovation they can do. So maybe they are talking with the agriculture ministry, right? So, and all the agriculture unions, farmer unions, what they want, where they are facing the challenges, right? And how the technology can help and we can innovate. So this is, the main, one area that we have to work, right from this instant, maybe continuously we have to work and make use of this 5G technology that is coming. And we can then fulfill the objectives. Again, I repeat the Antodaya, the last mile. And government is coming with a dynamic social registry. And with the dynamic social registry, we can find out that, okay, why application on the applicant or the beneficiary should approach the government. We have to reach out to the government because we know the birth date, we know the caste, we know the income, we know what the status. This is how the scene is changing and transformation is taking place. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Madam Shikha.
I think I would like to say that, especially for people working in artificial intelligence, I think we should have India-specific data sets, which are currently either being made by some global giants, and they should be freely available to people so that they can develop their applications on them. Because small startups cannot make these big databases. And India databases, in terms of if we talk of images, our facial structure is different from Western. Our language is different. Our way of speaking is different. So in all these areas of AI, ML, like computer vision or natural language processing, or as you know, artificial intelligence thrives on huge databases on which these machines learn and make models, which are then used for automating things. So I think government should invest in this kind of, common data sets, which people, other startups, everyone can use, which should be freely available to people. And it could be through crowdsourcing also. And also I would like to say that many applications are being developed in IoT M2M which are not standard-based deployed. Huge number of applications have been deployed, but they are not standard-based. So at the end of the day, it harms the person who's deploying because he goes into a vendor lock-in. And his solution is also not interoperable. So we would recommend that all the solutions which go into the network should be interoperable and should be standards-based.
Thank you so much. With this, I would like to conclude with a big round of applause to all my panel members. Thank you so much. Handing it back to the organizers for moving it to the next session. Thank you everyone for joining us and enriching us, especially on this Sunday morning.